I'm ready.
Okay, let's just. You're doing the B thing again?
Yes, and I'm getting my buttons back.
Okay, but if you start mishandling the buttons, they'll be swapped out.
Okay, let us know when you're ready. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Together We Build with Prudence and Chris. This is part 2 of the Core Identity 2-part series. Unless we get to the end and we need to make it a 3-part series, and then it'll be part 2 of a 3-part series. But I think we can do it. I think we can do it in 2. Maybe we can revisit some stuff later, but I think we can do it in 2. So I'm pumped about that. But before we do that, you know what we got to do. Right?
Yep.
Don't.
Yes, we have to
Look.
guess whether or not it's the B.
Be or not be.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you guys ready?
B.
Haley,
Yeah.
you ready? Jason's
Yes,
ready. You guys
we're
all
ready. We're
okay,
ready.
here we go. Here's the first
Okay.
one. Is this B or a real news headline? Here we go. Father uses his Camaro to pull son's tooth.
Oh,
Father
definitely
uses
true.
Camaro.
True.
Which, if you, wow, if you don't know, Camaro is a car. So father uses Camaro to pull son's tooth. Haley. True. What'd your dad say? You guys nailed it.
No, it's the cheers
Oh.
button. No, just once. Too much. I will have to take over the buttons if he cannot control
That is
himself.
true. Congratulations. Nice job. You guys nailed it. Okay. All right, here's another one about a father. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
True headline or Babylon B. Father calls 911 after eating daughter's pot brownies and thinks he's having a stroke.
True.
Boy, you're quick on this.
I just feel like it's
Let me
could
read
be
it
a
again,
scenario
because not
that could be
everybody's
true.
like, father calls 911 after eating daughter's pot brownies, thinking he's having a stroke. Haley. True. Jason?
True.
You guys are batting 100. That's definitely true. Father calls 911.
Yes.
Okay. Two more. Okay. True or false? A university banned the use of capital letters to avoid scaring students in the library computers.
Scaring students.
Yeah, when you do all caps, it's like yelling.
Oh,
A
that's
university
got to be false.
bans the use of capital letters
gotta be
to
false.
avoid scaring students.
We aren't that far deteriorated.
Have you seen what these universities are doing?
I think that is false.
Haley? Jason?
It says false.
No, you guys are 100%. That also is a Babylon Bee article. Okay, two more. I said one more, but here's two more. Okay, here's another one. Couple in California name baby with an emoji.
With an emoji.
So the baby's name is an emoji. I don't know which one. Didn't say which one. Couple in California name baby
True.
with emoji.
True.
True. Jason?
The news is fake.
Oh.
That's fake news. That's a Babylon
good
Bee.
thing, though.
The story is
'Cause, like, how
completely
do you
made up
spell an
and
emoji?
shared by
If it's a difficult
Babylon
one.
Bee.
You know, if it's a smiley face, I could easily. What's your name? It's just a smiley face mark.
Okay. All right, ready? Last one.
Okay.
So you guys almost got 100%, but you blew it with that last one. So let's see if you can redeem yourselves. which I don't think you will. Woman accused, no, wrong one. Florida woman looks for cat under bed, finds burglar.
True.
Florida woman looks for cat under bed.
Yeah, it's
finds
definitely got to be
burglar.
true. I can see this happening. Maybe it's happened to me.
It has not happened to you. Wait, it happened to you?
I've buried the memory.
You looked under the bed for a cat and found a burglar instead? Haley, what do you think? False. Okay. Jason? Oh my goodness. Jason is very quick-witted. He says it was a cat burglar. It was an actual burglar. It is a real headline. Florida woman looks under bed for cats, finds a burglar hiding out, waiting for her to leave.
I wonder what she did. Like
This
sick
was in
the cat on him?
Georgia.
Take this cat
I don't know if
to your
that means
face.
anything, but it was in Georgia where this happened. So, okay. Time to get down to business. Okay, Prudence, you're interviewing me again.
Get down to business. Yep, we're going to be talking about.
This is part two
part
of the
two.
core identity,
Yep.
where we talk about motivational
So,
drivers.
probably should have a tiny little recap. In the last episode, we really dissected the core identity rating
Yes.
assessment.
Yeah. Might change the name of that.
And that's going to be packed with the information about what we're going to kind of launch into in this episode. So I would recommend watching that one first. But
If you haven't seen part one,
could you
follow it.
give
Watch part
a nutshell on what this is, just so if anybody's watching and they didn't watch that last episode and they're like, I'm not going to watch that last episode, they kind of have a little bit of something.
If you are watching this episode, haven't watched the last one, and you're that type that says, I'm not going to watch the last one, let me give you a quick recap. These are red, and I'm wearing them because I'm a driver. What that means is there's an assessment that we've developed called the Core Identity Rating, which quantifies your motivational drivers. We believe that every single person was designed before birth by God for an assignment, and this assessment tries to quantify the unchanging motivational drivers of a person. And we've developed workshops and all sorts of different tools and things to help people with their communication, understanding themselves, communicate with others, conflict resolution, things like that. So we talked about this in the last episode, how this is, why it is it biblical? The answer is yes. If you want to know more, go watch the last episode. What else do I need to hit on?
I think that's pretty much it. If you really want to know more about some of that nitty-gritty stuff, go back and rewatch it.
Yes. Or you can also visit kingdomlearning.life, kingdomlearning.life, not .com, .life, and then go to the core identity training in there and just get one of those trainings. They're absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'm biased.
And do you get an assessment with that?
All of the trainings on Kingdom Learning for core identity come with a free assessment, which is normally $50. So that's a smashing good deal.
All right. Well, great. So you wanted to touch bases a little bit on marriage and kids. And
We'll do that at the end.
Okay, you want to do it at the end. Yeah. So there are 4 different motivators in this assessment. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you take this assessment, you will get a little colored chart that comes out at the end, and it will have little quantities of what you scored in those different spaces. So we're not going to tell you how the assessment works or anything, because we don't want to spoil that.
That's right.
For
it works well.
Your teaching. But we're just going to kind of explore each of the different color codes.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah. So, I'll get to why these glasses are actually not just a silly distraction, why they actually are kind of important as a tool to understand. But basically, this is a quadrant-based assessment, which means there's 4 different areas. And every single person is made up of a blend of all those 4s. No one is just 1, and no one's 3. Everyone is a perfect blend of all 4. Some people have very little in one. Like, for example, I only have 8 stabilizer on mine. So that's very little. That's a very, very low score in stabilizer. But that 8 is still a super valuable, critically important part of who I am. The different 4, which in the training we go into this, it's all of our trainings are 1.5 days or longer. So these are very detailed trainings. So if you really need to learn about this or want to learn about this, that's where you should go. But just as a high level understanding, there are 4 different ones. They are driver, influencer, innovator, stabilizer. Each one is a core motivator that's focused on different things. So let me tell you what they are. I'm just going to run through them real quick, and then you can ask questions and kind of go off that. But the first one that we want to talk about is a stabilizer. The stabilizer's core motivator is knowledge. That knowledge is there as a motivator to help ensure that justice happens. So we call that catalyzed. So it is the motivator's wisdom catalyzed into justice.
The motivator's knowledge.
Oh, what did I say?
Wisdom.
Oh, yeah, that's innovator. So for stabilizer, the motivator's knowledge catalyzed into justice. So this isn't like social justice.
Nope.
This is a kind of justice that means things should be fair and equitable and safe and appropriate kind of justice. These guys do not like things that are unfair or inappropriate. They like compensation to be reasonable and well understood. Knowledge, the how and why of things, justice, the fair and equitable way. Information is a stabilizer's best friend. For stabilizers to be effective, they need detailed information. Stabilizers dislike waste and unnecessary risks. They take pride in ensuring everything they do is successful. Stabilizers are excellent at saying no, which is a trait many people lack. So stabilizers want things to be clear and well understood. They don't like flying by the seat of their pants at all. Right?
No.
Okay. No, too many buttons. Now your buttons are out of control. So again, no one is just a stabilizer. But if someone happened to be just a stabilizer, which can't happen, but if they were, that's a good description of who they are. So the next one is driver. We've labeled driver with the red color. Driver is core motivator is power, and that's catalyzed into faith. This is not faith like religious faith. This is faith in their ability to drive progress forward. So faith in themselves, not in a self-centered way. Faith in their ability to know what to do and to know what to do next. So power is a driver's core motivator. Drivers feel anxiety if action and progress are not being made. They decide and take action. They push things forward. Power is an individual's ability to make a difference and generate a positive outcome. Faith. Faith is, I know what to do, and what I'm about to do is right. The next step will be obvious to me. So they believe that they're going to move things forward. Drivers value action and results above all else. Drivers usually don't make excuses, and they take personal responsibility. Drivers tend to do everything themselves, which is not necessarily good, can be good. Drivers are driven by short-term goals and the sense of achievement. Drivers tend to be too impatient to teach others. Drivers typically are not great team players, nor do their strengths lie in building a team. So that's a driver. Drivers are the best.
That's your highest
By
number.
far.
His highest number.
Oh, they're really not the best. Actually, all of them are equally valuable. They really are. Even though I'm very low in some of them, the more I learn about all of this and the more I study and learn and work with people, the more I realize that every single one is critically important to the success of anything that needs to be done that's difficult. So keep moving around. The quadrant innovator would be the next. Innovator's core motivator is wisdom, and that's catalyzed into solutions. So one way to think of these core motivators is kind of like the gas. So are you a diesel car or are you a gas car? If you put diesel into a gas car, you're going to have a problem, and vice versa. So the motivators, the kind of the gas that moves things forward, the what it's catalyzed into. So in this case, solutions. That's like where you're going. So I'm going to put diesel fuel in my car, which is wisdom, if I'm an innovator, and I'm headed in that car to making solutions, which is what it's catalyzed into. So solutions are the innovator's core motivator. Wisdom is the innovator's core motivator, and the innovator creates and innovates and observes and offers solutions to problems. Solutions are developing solutions regardless of behavior and the motion of others. Wisdom is seeing the way things work and knowing how to deal with them. Innovators are problem solvers. Their strength comes from their ability to overcome any obstacle they face. They enjoy creating systems that ensure continuation of their work. They do not make good implementers because they strive for perfection before acting. Innovators develop new products and integrate systems to solve production and administrative problems. Innovators are often very stubborn, aren't they?
I wouldn't know. Would you?
I would know, because I'm married to one. Innovators can sometimes deny facts, challenging the validity and relevance of data, refuse to look or even take action, or even just quit, and they're often very accusing.
Don't look at me.
Those are innovators. Influencer. Influencer is the last one, rounding out things. Motivator is relationships catalyzed into unity. So relationships or relational unity is the core motivator of the influencer. Influencers need collaborative conversations. Influencers are about relationships, nurturing people's identities, assuring relational unity, bringing about human flourishing. And unity is defined as being in harmony with one another. Influencers inspire people and are always on the lookout for new ideas. They're enthusiastic about shared vision. They're also aware of culture, art, literature, quality of presentation. Influencers like convenience.
Shouldn't you have your glasses on?
Stabilizers point things like that out. Influencers tend to be messy, easily frustrated, may not take rejection well. Influencers whine, manipulate, hang their heads in shame in order to sway you, and they often make great martyrs. So that's your influencers. So that rounds out the 4.
Yeah. So you're a high influencer.
Yeah, what of it?
So you're also a high driver. So he's high driver and high influencer. Some people can have like an equal amount in each of the color quadrants. So talk about the number score a little bit and how that.
So you can score in each category up to 52. I've never seen anybody with one that high. In fact, I don't think I've seen anyone with over a 45 yet, although I know that they exist. You, Prudence, have a 44 stabilizer and a 39 innovator. So if you're above 39 and above, you're what's called profound. So that means if you're 39 and above, you're operating out of that particular area almost always. And you, my dear, are a double profound.
Yeah, I'm very confused
Which
sometimes.
is 0.1% are double profound. So that means, really what that means is that your driver and influencer are never present in your behavior. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Oh, yes, it's a fair assessment.
Now, what that doesn't mean, though, is that she has no influencer or no driver. They're a very, very important, critically important part of who she is. So the way I like to think of it is each and every person is like a master dish made by a master chef. It's their absolute perfect dish. Is that a coup d'etat? Or is that like
I don't know.
that's a French word. I don't know what coup d'etat means, but I felt like it's the right word, but it might mean something like a revolt. Do you know what that means, sir? Coup d'etat? We don't know what that means, but hopefully it's appropriate and not inappropriate. But think of it as a perfect soup or a perfect dish. It's like the one that is the chef is famous for in the whole world. There's certain elements in those dishes that they put in and only the master chef knows, and they put in just a tiny little bit of this and a tiny little bit of that. But without that, it's a really good dish, but it's not like a perfect dish. It's not world famous. But when they add just a little bit, then it is perfect. It's incredible. And that is like when you're really low in one of these, you may not act like it. Like you may not taste like there's a lot of basil in there. But with just the right amount of stabilizer, with just the right amount of basil, it's perfect. And that's how we look at these real low scores. They're the seasoning that makes it into an incredible, incredible masterpiece. So it's an important part of who you are, even if it's a small part of who you are. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, but as far as like the number, like
Oh, the number. So you
The
can
number.
score up to 52. Like I said, no one's done that yet. I don't think it's going to happen. A really high score is anything 39 and above. Anything 39 and above we call profound, means you're operating out of that most of the time. Anything 12 and below is what we call emulation, which means that if you think you're doing it, you're really not. You're just pretending to do it because it needs to be done. But you don't really operate out of that naturally. And everything there kind of in the middle, 20s, low 30s, that's kind of just very achievable, really, I would say well-represented part of who you are. It's not a really super strong part or a really low part. Does that answer your question?
And can you be in more than one at once?
So that's a super good question that people ask all the time is, so I'm a driver. So for me, for example, I'm a driver first, I'm an influencer second. So I'm walking around operating as a driver influencer. No, you're not. Me, for example, with this score, I am only ever operating in one at a time, even though I have two that are close. You never operate out of more than one of these at once. So at any given time, I'm either a driver or influencer or innovator. In my case, I can access all three of those. But I don't operate as all of them. But just like I said before, they're all seasoning to who I am. So because I have a lot of influencer, my driver has a lot of influencer influence, if you will. So they affect each other, but you only operate out of one at a time. And you can purposefully decide to move between them.
Interesting. So we would
Yes, it
learn
is.
more about that in the actual course that you would take,
Yes, you would. You would learn a lot more about that.
and how to not zip into your negative conflict strategy, which each of them has their own
Yes.
specials.
Each one has a negative conflict strategy. Negative conflict strategy is an inappropriate, immature behavior pattern based on who they are. So this is what happens when you cross what we call the fear and anxiety threshold and you move into your negative conflict strategy. So when things are operating well, you're not doing this. But when things don't work well, and if you don't purposefully switch into a different core identity when problems arise, you'll move into what we call the negative conflict strategy. So for a driver, this is intimidation. For an influencer, this is manipulation. For an innovator, it's interrogation. And for a stabilizer, it's aloof judgment. Now, what's interesting about those is that, at least in our culture, intimidation and manipulation seem a lot worse than aloof judgment or even interrogation. But from God's perspective and the way He's designed us, all four of the negative conflict strategies are equally as damaging to God's agenda moving forward. So aloof judgment is just as damaging to God's agenda moving forward as intimidation, even though in our culture, intimidation always has a worse rap.
It's because you're louder.
I don't want to hit one of these fake news buttons back.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be fake news. That's why you get seen as more abrasive, is because you're louder.
Some have said.
Yeah. So in our family,
Yes.
I am surrounded by drivers and influencers.
You are? So in our family, I am a driver first, influencer second. Prudence is a stabilizer
I'm
first,
green. Green glasses.
which is green, and I'm driver first. And she's an innovator second, 39. So she's a double profound. So that means she's really weird. No, that means she's double profound, which is actually really amazing if you need those things. But in our household, we are a household of people more like me and less like her. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah. Or a good portion of like half and half. Like, I think there's a couple that are more high in the stabilizer and influencer.
Which is blue.
Yeah. You don't have any purple ones for innovator. So anyways, I get
Because the innovators are still at the factory perfecting their glasses.
probably.
They're overanalyzing them.
Yeah. So it would be like if Chris is wearing the influencer glasses talking to the stabilizer. Give us a sample of what that looks like.
Okay, so first of all, the way that they solve problems is important. So influencers solve problems by talking and listening. They talk and 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 talk.
I always say he talks way too much.
Listen and listen and listen.
Way too much.
Okay, they listen and listen and listen, but they also talk and talk and talk and talk. Okay, stabilizers, they, oh man, this has got little sharp things on
To
it.
get some sandpaper and
Stabilizers, they solve problems by reading and analyzing. So they really, really, really love information. But they kind of want that information not in a talking format. If the only way you can get it is through listening to someone, they'll take it, but they prefer to be able to read and analyze because they want to be able to ingest, think, reread, take notes, and just have the time to go at the pace that they want to process that information. So if you have two people that are, trying to solve a problem together, and one of them is influencer and they're wearing these blue glasses and they're looking at the world through these blue glasses, and they're talking to a stabilizer who's got these green glasses and they're looking through the world through these green glasses, they're going to approach it a lot different. They're going to approach it kind of like this podcast where I'm doing all the talking and they're just sitting there wondering why I keep talking so much.
exactly. That's what I just said. You're talking too much.
I'm going to go
You should have unwrapped the pink glasses for the purple.
I'm going to put the
Sawyer,
driver back
the
on.
pink glasses.
No. I'm going to put the driver back on and we'll go from there. So, if you don't want me to talk so much, then I'll listen while you talk.
What?
You're supposed to talk. These things are making me kind of motion sick.
His
You look-
glasses are warped.
You look really good in yours, though. You look super good.
So we're usually looking through one of these colors of glasses at any given time.
Yes, correct.
Not, these glasses there. I fixed it for you. The innovator has fixed it for
Thanks. Thank you, innovator.
you.
You're amazing.
And so we can move to those different spaces according to what we deem is necessary in that moment.
Mhm, that's right.
So I may not always need to be in the stabilizer
glasses.
That's right.
I can shift over to innovator if I need to be figuring out how to solve a problem or everything else that goes with that innovator space. So,
That's correct.
So it must be nice to be able to travel around all the 4 different spaces a little bit easier. I don't really get that luxury because my numbers are so low in 2 of the other spaces. So what he's high in, I'm super low in. And what I'm high in, he is lower in. And so we almost really complete like a full circle when you put our scores together.
Yeah, that's because we're cool.
So how would you say those 2 people even like how do we even get along? I mean, because we've
Poorly.
had some pretty, tough situations sometimes.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, because your influencers blocked it out.
What's your question? How do you
Well-
work with someone that's way different than you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's a super good question. So traditionally what happens is if you have 2 people that are really different, then what almost always happens, I mean almost always, which is really sad, but what almost always happens is that the more dominant person dominates, the other person submits to that. And then what happens is the person that ends up submitting typically slowly builds up resentment against that person and walls, and then they basically end up not collaborating well and just creating separate lives, even if they're contained inside the relationship. If that's a marriage relationship, they end up being, separate lives, roommates, where they've got walls between them. That's almost always what happens. And it's because they're so different. So they remember, they process the world differently. They look at the world differently. When I put on these glasses, the world looks different. It really does. So so what happens when you do that? When you put those glasses on and you're looking at the world differently than the other person, and the other person doesn't have the ability to put on the red glasses. Like in this case with Prudence, she doesn't have enough driver to put on the red glasses. She doesn't have that much. So, in that case, if you don't learn how to look at the world through the glasses of the other person, it's a little cliche, but walk a mile in their shoes before judging them. There's a lot of wisdom in that. If I can put on her glasses, these stabilizer glasses, whoa, the world looks so weird through these, but now that I look through these, I can now honor and respect her in communication in a way that I couldn't before, but it's only because I'm looking at the world through her motivational drivers and not just my own.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
So, with understanding a lot of this stuff, and your kids not really being able to take an assessment,
Yes.
you can kind of pick through and watch what
Yeah, we
how
talked
they
about
operate.
that. We talked about that in the last one. Do you want to touch on that? Why kids really can't?
No, you can.
I'm trying to give you more airtime because you said I talk too much.
It's fine.
So, these really work good because, you guys don't know this, but we have multiple cameras in the studio, and they have what's called tally lights on them, which are these lights that tell you which camera's live and which one's not live. And with these glasses, the lights don't work right. I can't see the red lights at all. So that's actually really an accurate representation. When you are a certain type, sometimes you literally can't even see the same things. Like, look through my influencer glasses at that red light.
Oh yeah.
It just
Doesn't even
actually,
exist.
it actually disappears. So
Weird.
it's actually super powerful to kind of realize that, the world really does look way different. So anyway, what was your question? Oh, about the parenting, about the children.
Yeah.
So children can't really take this assessment, we found, until they're between 14 and 18 typically. And the reason for that is they might have the vocabulary to understand the definition of the words, But in order to really be able to get an accurate measurement or quantification of, is quantification a word? Quantifiable. I'm hearing from
A
the switcher in the back.
quantifiable understanding.
I'm hearing from the camera operator and the switcher in the back that quantification is a word. So we're going to go with that. Even if it's not, you know what I mean. So you get an accurate quantification based on their relationship with the words. And usually people have to have been around a little while to really know when they read the word forward progress and the word relationships, which one they really resonate with, even though they might be able to define each one of those. That makes sense? So that's why kids can't take it. But here's the thing. If you study this as a parent and you really learn about yourself and what the different things are, it will become pretty obvious, at least to some degree, what kind of core motivators your children have.
Yeah. So,
Pretty cool, huh?
so we have 2 adult children, and so we understand what they are because they are old enough to have taken the assessment
Yeah.
and have had that relationship
They
with
both
the
scored high
words.
as
So
geniuses.
what do we have? Like a driver influencer like you, or an influencer
Are you talking about
driver?
our kids?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're
Is that what
much
she
more
is?
like me than they are like you.
Well, and then the second one would be an influencer stabilizer, though.
I think so.
Yeah, but with access to those other different areas.
Yeah, he's the most, our second offspring,
child.
but he's not a child, he's like a full-grown
Well,
man.
he'll always be our child.
Yeah, our second child,
Full-grown
who is currently
child.
a full-grown man.
Let's call
he
full-grown
is the most
child.
like you. So how did that work? When
Well,
he
I
was
don't
growing
know.
up?
I think maybe the last one has quite a bit of stabilizer there, Chris.
Okay, I'm just saying. I think number 2 is the most like you, at least so far. So how did that work out for you as a homeschooling mom, teaching him math?
Oh, no.
Huh?
Nope.
How'd that
Didn't
work?
work out well. It was awful. I think both of us will attest to that. I mean, I got to a point where I'm like, ain't happening anymore.
I came home this one day and she's all, "You're teaching them math." She's like homeschooling, you know, all 4 of our kids homeschooling. And I'm like, "Babe, I'm sorry you had a bad day. What's going on?" She's like, "Nope, I didn't have a bad day. I just decided something." Like, "What?" "You're teaching them math." And I'm like, what do you, yeah, okay. You're teaching them math or they're not learning math.
Well, I just
So
came
according
to,
to
the
number
conclusion
2,
it just,
he's
yeah.
like, he just didn't learn math.
Well, anyway, let's roll on past.
The good news
The
is
bottom
that you
line
don't have to
is-
be a
is-
calculus professor to be super successful in this world, and it's a good thing. Because Prudence over here is
Well,
not a
we can kind of
stunning math
figure
teacher.
out. I think that the children that are similar to us is the ones we typically butt heads with the most.
So our third child, who is not a full-grown man, but thinks of himself as a 45-year-old, and I are very similar. So it is disappointing but true that my parenting is weakest with the third kid. He really, really challenges me, and I don't do the best job relating to him, but it's because we're so similar. And because I recognize this incredible brilliance that he has, and he's operating the camera right now, so I've got to make sure I don't say anything too mean or aggressive because he'll make me look bad on this video. But he has been the hardest for me because we're very similar. We think the same, we work the same, we both want to be in charge, and so forth. So we kind of butt heads. But this has been super valuable, even though I definitely don't get it right all of the time when parenting. Being able to understand from a core motivation standpoint why they do what they do is super important. Because if you don't have that, you guys know this if you're parents. A lot of times as parents, what you begin to feel like is they're just doing it to piss you off. But they're not.
Yeah.
Actually, sometimes they do, but mostly they're not. They're just different than you are, but you're looking at them, so maybe they're a stabilizer, but you're looking at them through driver glasses, and you're like, why are you acting like that? And they're looking back at you like this. What do you mean, Dad? Because they're totally different. Why are you guys laughing? Everyone in the studio is laughing at me.
Yeah, because humor is important.
The main thing to understand here with regards to parenting is that they're definitely different than you, and you don't want to make them become like you. What you want to do is help them to become the best versions of themselves. You want them to become a mature, successful version of who God made them to be, not a miniature version of you, unless He made them very similar to you, but you need to make them like them. There's this verse that certain people like to quote in the Bible that says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and they will not depart from it as they grow older. It's slightly different depending on different versions of the Bible. The way that was always interpreted to me, the way I always learned what that meant was, if you have enough quiet Bible times and Bible stories and pray together as a family, when they're little, then they'll be really amazing preachers when they get older, and they'll make you look good. Is that what you learned?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually not the meaning behind that scripture. The real underlying meaning behind that scripture is, train up a child in the way that they were made, and then they won't depart from it. In other words, you got to understand how God made them and equip them into that. So if they were designed to be a cell phone case, you got to train them to be the best cell phone case possible. You don't want to train them how to be sunglasses if God designed them as a cell phone. So He made them this way, but you're trying to make them into this. That's what the verse is saying not to do.
Mm-hmm.
That was profound. That was a lot more profound than you guys think.
Nope.
For the last time, no.
So what's your next question?
I don't.
These are my buttons, by the way. Do not invade this area.
So can you tell us a little bit about more what people will come away with if they go ahead and take some of these courses? And so we have a leadership course, a marriage course, and a basic relationship course at kingdomlearning.life.
Yes.
What could they expect to come away with if they take each of those courses? And
Yes. So do you want to ask me specific questions about
Oh.
each one, or you want me to give an overview? What?
yeah,
You're the
so
boss.
let's start with who would be interested in taking the leadership course?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, there are 3 courses. One focuses primarily on marriage. One is on relationships overall, and one is on leadership. So the first part of all, they're all 1.5-day workshops. We also do a lot of custom design workshops around specific businesses or groups or teams of people or even families will bring us in and we'll work with a family. But these workshops that Prudence is talking about are on kingdomlearning.life, and they have different focuses. All 3 of those workshops start out with a very similar half day. The first half day is very similar. It's slightly different, but it's very similar for all 3. And it's really about understanding yourself and those around you from a core motivator standpoint. And that's really the kind of the stuff that we've talked about here. So it is a half day, a deep dive in to the way God made you. One of the things that's not good is getting just a little bit of information, kind of like what we're doing here, and then starting to use this to label people and say, well, you're just to this, or you're just to that, or I'm this, so I can never be that way. Okay, don't do that. Do not do that. This is a tool to help you do a better job of accepting and understanding people, not label them and judge them, or label and judge yourself. So after that first half day, they kind of vary quite a bit. The relationship one is fantastic for marriages, even though it doesn't focus on marriage. It's very specifically how to interact with the people around you, how to do conflict resolution well, and so forth. The marriage one is specific for couples that are thinking about becoming married or are already married. We've had people that have been married for 30, 40 years or longer take this and say it's radically changed their marriage, like radically changed their marriage, saved their marriage. We have tons and tons of testimonials about that. So that one's focused specifically on marriage. The leadership one is focused specifically towards a leadership perspective. So it is understanding how, from a core motivator perspective, how to interact with people that are under your charge, how to manage them, how to manage your ministry. We call all the businesses ministry, whether you're an employee, run a business, or have a nonprofit. We call them all ministries. And the reason for that is we believe that God's given us an assignment, and maybe your assignment is to be an employee at a Fortune 100 company, and you're a manager of a small team. That's still a ministry. You should still treat that as a ministry. So the leadership one is focused on people that are leading people typically, but we have, even single parents that take that and find it super valuable. So it's more about what the focus of the application of understanding about your core motivators are in each of those. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. More thoughts or ideas?
You're the interviewer, babe.
I
You
know.
see, it's harder to interview than you thought.
No.
You've got about 9 minutes left.
What's difficult
Where do you
for
wanna
the
go with
high
this?
stabilizer is when I already have all the answers and knowledge,
Wow,
and
she knows everything.
then on a subject.
No.
And then I'm not thinking about what other people may not know.
Yes.
So,
Well, let me flip this around on you, since you ran out of questions and you're the interviewer. What would you say has unlocked the most? Well, let me look at it. Let's look at it this way for a second. So one of the things that you do, Prudence, is you manage a lot of the volunteer teams that we have here at Eagle Mountain when we do events and things like that. You manage those huge groups of people, which sometimes can be 40, 50 people just for a single event. So as you go into an event, events can be high stress, right? Because there's a lot of people, a lot of stuff. You can't always predict the things that are going to go wrong. And so you just kind of have a potential mess. So what would you say has been helpful as an event manager, managing large teams of people from a core motivator perspective? The reason I think it's important to get your thoughts on this is you're not a people person. Not that you don't like people, but
right.
you're not a people person. You're not high influencer. So when you step into managing a large team of people, how is this, how have you leveraged this? How have you used it? What have you found?
Mm-hmm. Well, if I know what their core identity is, it's helpful to choose different people for the different jobs.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily want to put a bunch of people up front in the greeters hallway who don't have
Grumpy cats.
quite a bit of influencer or maybe stabilizer, because stabilizers are typically pretty polite people. Also choosing people to kind of be in training for manager positions. They need to have some elements of influencer and driver, typically, or at least enough to really access things. So you kind of need specific places, specific colors for specific jobs.
Yeah.
But But ultimately, you know, everybody can do some of the basic things like cleaning and that sort of thing.
So what I
Doesn't
hear
really
you
matter.
saying is one of the things that you found most powerful is being able to think about who someone is from a core motivator perspective, and then put them in the job that best matches who they are.
Yep.
So you're setting them up for success.
Yeah. Yep. So the blend of like innovator driver may not work very well for being in a manager position because they'll want to do everything by themselves.
Yes.
Or, you know, they might have more potential to really get angry at people and
Yeah.
lose it. So that's been really, really helpful to be able to understand who these people
And then,
are.
so being able to put them in the right positions based on who they are, that's amazing. That is super awesome. But real quick, like just 1 minute, what about when conflicts arise?
Yeah.
Like, how have you been able to use this when conflicts arise?
Well, understanding that different negative conflict strategy and when people are going there and how to help put out that fire. Even when you have like large groups of people that are coming in that you don't know that might get upset about something, or, you know, just kind of recognizing what that negative conflict strategy is operating and looking like. You can learn to help defuse and redirect the bad attitudes,
Yeah.
and know what fire extinguisher you need to go after to get that out.
Yeah, that's super good. That's super good. I think anytime that you work hard to identify and learn about how people think, you're gonna already be ahead. So like, it's great to put them in the right job. That's really, really important. That's setting them up for success. But then also when things go sideways, being able to look at the world through their glasses and go, man, I wouldn't handle it that way, but now I see why you did that. And not just think that they're doing things in a way that's irritating because they're trying to irritate you, but they are different than you. People typically don't have a nefarious goal in mind. They really want to do a good job usually.
Yeah, and I've also found that I really begin to value the people that have more in one of these colors than I do,
Yeah.
which I have two that are severely low. So really valuing what they're bringing to the table and understanding that I don't have to pony up in those places. I can say, hey, I need you out there talking to people, being an influencer, doing what you do, go enjoy that.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to necessarily feel like that burden is put on me. And also because they understand who I am, they're more than happy to take over that job.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
say, it's fine, she's not being a snot, or she just wore out.
Yeah.
Because this isn't her bag of chips.
Exactly.
So
It's not her bag of chips.
we're all able to really honor each other and respect each other according to what we know about those finer details.
Yeah.
And I think it's just
Good.
been really, really cool because it's just opened up a whole new way of seeing each other.
Yeah.
And being able to talk about some of those issues and problems that come up
Yeah.
with each other, and how so-and-so has been in this space and I don't know how to communicate to him there.
Yeah.
So conflict strategy has been really good. And you just had somebody come and ask for help with conflict strategy.
Yeah.
Or resolving relationship using the core identity and
Yep.
understanding
Yeah.
more about who he is in those spaces and how to redirect that negative energy when he's there.
It's a super powerful tool. It's a really powerful tool, and not everybody has to have it for it to be useful. Like just you learning about it can be super powerful. So if you want more information about it, go to kingdomlearning.life. All of these workshops are there. We've made them super inexpensive because we really just want this information out there. It will help you become more successful in the assignment that God has given for you. So go check them out, kingdomlearning.life. We're going to just end on an ad that we made, which is a video of us running through the airport from a core identity perspective, core motivator perspective. We did chat about this before making this, but this really was live, real time, and is exactly what happened. It's only
There's
a tiny bit exaggerated.
Not a lot of acting
But it's
happening.
really the truth of we were at a layover in an airport. We were talking about core identity and made this video.
Have you ever wondered why your spouse and yourself are so different when you're walking through the airport?
All right, let's do it. Let's go.
It doesn't say on ticket.
Yeah, don't worry about that. We'll find it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I can't just fly up to see my pants.
It's got to be down here.
I need to stop and ask somebody to
No, we don't need to stop. We'll find it.
look at one of these screens.
We'll find it. We'll find it on the way. What? It's down here somewhere. It's got to be down here. Worst case scenario, we go the wrong way. We'll just turn around and come back.
Or as our plane's leaving.
We aren't going to miss the plane. Trust me on this one.
Yeah,
See?
I trust you with a lot of things, but this is...
It's fun. It'll be an adventure.
I don't like adventure.
Did we pass it? Now the gates say C.
We passed it.
Didn't
Yeah,
pass
I
it.
told... Why don't you
Okay,
just...
I don't know how we passed it.
You know what? If we would have just stopped and asked
No,
directions...
we don't need directions because we have high speed. Look at this walkway. We're going like 100 miles an hour. It's right up here. Don't worry about it. This is part of the adventure. Boards in 3 minutes. Boom, right there.
You got lucky.
We only went the wrong way once.
I think it was twice. And we had to hurry. We're both happy with
While
that.
we are going to dig into some of the differences that make us unique and how to work with each other in this upcoming marriage seminar that is coming up soon
It'll make these airport experiences a lot more tolerable.
and fun because we'll do things my way, the right way.
Do you know what I don't like about this? Is that you always last minute think. I have that time to think about stuff. And no, you ask me big fat heavy questions that takes me at least an hour to think about. And not only does it take me an hour to think about, you want an answer like that. It stresses me out.
Don't get stressed out, baby. It's fine.
But I'll ask the questions and you come up with the answers right off.
Sounds good.